Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Space Engineers from Mr. Unnamed. I'm starting off really slow, as you can see. It's a bit ridiculous. The graphics are also turned way down, otherwise I'd probably be getting 5 frames a second. Blew up the old base and starting platform, decided to rebuild inside the asteroid here. It's a decent little fortified base. Pretty good. Now, over here, you will see a couple of ships of mine that I've been developing. The first one here is what I'd affectionately like to call a Hammerhead class frigate that I called Bastion. Now this thing is built really tough. All heavy armor, a massive amount of turrets. This thing doesn't move very quickly at all, unfortunately. That ship over there in the distance, the Anvil, is something else entirely, and I'll get around to showing that in due time. The Hammerhead here has 8 forward-facing rocket launchers, easily able to crack open a lot of powerful ships, even the most heavily armored ones. The original iteration of this thing had a turret, mounted turret, on the very top of the ship towards the back. Now, entering into this chamber here, we have this little lobby area. Rocket launchers are loaded through the back, with these tubes here leading up to the cockpit. This here area is well defended, multiple turrets on the walls here and here. The paint job sucks, I'll have to work on that in a bit. As you can see, I have a refinery and assembler connecting all the way here to a small storage container. Moving on to engineering, the ship is powered by 2 large reactors and a ton of gyroscopes to help it maneuver, as well as a couple more small storage containers for any bits and pieces for repairs. It also has a hangar here located in the back. Heading up here, you see it has a functional blast door, hangar doors, whatever, as well as 3 fighters in the hangar bay. These 2 are Kestrel class fighters. They are inspired by Klingon Bird of Praise. Fairly maneuverable, fairly quick. This here, I affectionately refer to as the big boy. This fighter is well, it's not exactly all that maneuverable, but it is armed to the teeth and super heavily armored. It's powered by 1 large fusion reactor and has quite a bit of thrust, as well as a large storage container in the back here for any kind of ammunition that you would need, as well as some more small storage containers on either side for any resupply purposes. There are 2 stations here for closing and opening the blast doors, right here, and up there at the top of that catwalk. This antenna here is fairly armored, and it's going to take quite a bit to get through the engine nacelles and as well as the top section in order to take that out. I wish the blast doors were a bit more tough, as well as the pistons that I use to open and close them. Just a quick push of the button, and there we go. The blast doors close and hold secure, keeping the hangar bay safe and sound from incoming fire. Well, in theory at least. Now, up above here, we have this chamber. This chamber leads up to the med bay, as well as some more gyroscopes and access to the rear topmost engines for repairs. As you can see, more of that horrible, sickly green paint job that I need to take care of. Supply crates here for refitting with tools and necessary weapons just in case. A long hallway here, which runs along the top of the ship along the spine. Also heavily armored, although a couple missiles will probably crumple it. And here we have the bridge. So far, there's only one seat here, the captain's chair, 2 turrets for taking care of any would-be intruders, and 4 batteries for emergency power. The doors here lead down to the frontmost lobby, just a quick drop down below. Whee! And here we are. And this here is the Bastion. Now, moving on to one of my other ships that I have been working on that I like to call the Anvil for how it's shaped. I thought I would play around with the idea of a vertical ship design. 6 large missile launchers and a ton of thrusters help get this ship moving. And it is quite a ship, extremely maneuverable. This here leads down to the refinery and indoor assembler. I haven't hooked up any of the missile launchers or turrets. Like you see up here on the Bastion, none of these are connected to any supply crates or anything. I'll probably work on that some other time, but you can see just how heavily armored this thing is. If another ship were to try and fire into the sides here, they might take out some thrusters, but the main inside of the ship will be perfectly safe and sound. Needless to say, it's a very tough nut to crack. Now flying down here, we'll get inside. The solar panels on this thing help as emergency power and as well as supplementing the one large reactor down below. Just getting through this door here. And we're inside. I had originally played around with an idea of using artificial mass and gravity generators to get this ship moving, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out as well as I had planned. This thing has over 60 gyroscopes, 1 gravity generator here, which I usually keep locked up. It isn't quite as secure as the Bastion is, but then again, it isn't exactly meant to be. Dropping down below here, we come into engineering. Multiple reactors, which I will soon replace with batteries, because this is a fairly old ship, and I haven't quite done a whole lot to mess around with it. Access to some of the rear engines, as well as more gyroscopes hidden inside the structure of the ship itself, along with this gravity generator. There are, indeed, more gyroscopes down below, and hopefully, in the case of a fight, those won't be taken out too easily. The ship is made almost entirely out of heavy armor blocks, with interior blocks giving it some flooring and other structural bits. Now, coming up to the topmost floor, we have the supplemental area, I guess you could say. Talking is difficult. Anyway, well lit, with a refinery and assembler up here as well. Those lead to that connector up there that I showed you before. Access to front engines, as well as more gyroscopes, as well as back here, which has plenty of small storage crates for anything the crew might need. The ship would be operated by a fairly small crew, but still effective all the same. And for the moment, that's about all that I've done so far as building ships goes. There have been plenty more that I have built and scrapped over the months that I have been absent from making any videos. But this is basically what I've been up to. Tweaking, reworking, and building these ships. It's not quite as easy as slapping a whole bunch of stuff together. You have to keep design and functionality in mind while doing this. Now, I'm only getting about 10 frames a second, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to give you a demonstration of how these ships maneuver. But that will be in a future video, hopefully, fingers crossed. Until next time, see you around.